Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is the Survivor's Guide to Life. My name is Jessica Lang, and this channel is all things trauma, the brain, and healing. So if that's your jam, click that subscribe button down below so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And while you're at it, jump on over to Instagram where you can follow me there and get more tips and tricks for mental health, mental wellness to improve your life. So in today's topic, I'm going to talk about trauma and substance abuse. So oftentimes folks get interested in substance use, alcohol, marijuana in their early teen years. Maybe it's, at a party, socially with friends, even maybe with family. They experiment or try alcohol, they try marijuana, or they try other drugs, and find that it's a great experience. So one of the hallmarks of substance abuse, is a desire or a need to use despite negative consequences, despite wanting to stop or wanting to cut down, finding that the body has actually grown accustomed to having this substance every single day or even multiple times a day. And so this is how you get substance dependence or addiction. There's treatments for substance abuse such as 12-step, also therapy, but kind of talking about how it's related to trauma, in that oftentimes folks who are addicted to substances have a history of child abuse, neglect, severe emotional abuse, maybe some early attachment disruptions. And when it comes to substance use, just like really any addiction, alcohol, sex, food, these substances are used to kind of cope with day-to-day stressors, feelings of loneliness, feelings of not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy, just trying to get through and like a lot of pain. And one of the ways that substances, and again food and all that, they become addictions is that they get locked into the reward centers of the brain. When you're taking drugs or you're overeating or engaging in sexual activity, you're doing this because you're in the moment, you are feeling a certain way, you're feeling pain, or you're hurt, or you're afraid, just intense feelings of loneliness and despair that you're trying to cope with. And trying to alleviate your pain and your distress, you turn to these temporary mechanisms that make you feel good in the moment. So eating a good piece of pie, or the whole pie, or engaging in sex, or over drinking, right? You're not thinking. You can temporarily turn off the negative thoughts. You can ignore those thoughts because now you're focused on something else. But afterwards, right, whether you're going through the withdrawal, you are left still not just with the feelings you had before, the despair, the loneliness, the pain, but they almost seem to be intensified. And when you talk about addictions, and like oftentimes the types of behaviors that people engage in when they are addicted, they're behaviors that they're not necessarily proud of. So then they use, they're feeling bad about themselves, they use more, they're trying to get that high, that feeling good. And what folks who've told me who have been addicted to substances is like nothing feels good as like that first high, and they're like constantly trying to chase that first high. And it becomes an addiction. It messes with the reward system of the brain, and that's how substance kind of get locked in there. One of the phases of healing, whether you do again 12 steps or you're doing therapy, is you're trying to get to the underlying cause of, or what you're trying to cover up, or what feelings you're trying to mask or alleviate by using these substances. So you have to actually dive deep, dive in there, dig in, go deep, figure out what's driving these behaviors, learn your triggers, learn how to avoid those triggers, learn to replace them with healthy coping skills. You can utilize skills like mindfulness, affirmations, gratitude. Like there's a whole host of things you can do, but basically you're learning to expand that window of tolerance, right? Those feelings of discomfort and of fear, and making them more tolerable so that you don't need to utilize, this artificial means such as the substance in order to feel better or to cope with life's daily stressors. I also want to add too about the link with trauma and substance abuse is that you can't teach what you don't know. And so, for a lot of folks, their parents might have been engaged in substance abuse, and they use that as a coping strategy. And as you're growing up, and you're seeing how your parents kind of handle life, handle stressors, you, even though your parents don't explicitly say like, drink this, you'll feel better, or smoke marijuana, you'll feel better, the act of them engaging in these behaviors, and making excuses such as it makes me feel calmer, or I feel better, etc. When you start to try it out as a teenager, or a young person, and you do feel good when you're drunk, or you feel good when you're high, you've now made this link, right? And it goes back to that reward center of the brain. So part of it is also like a learned experience, like you learning from the environment that you're in. Alcohol, and even unless you make kind of like a conscious effort to, like, my parents are alcoholics, I'm never touching alcohol, you're a little bit more susceptible to developing a substance abuse problem. And we know with brain research and ongoing research that we're doing that there seems to be like some people are more susceptible to developing substance abuse issues because of their genes, because of the genetic predisposition to alcoholism. So when a person takes that first drink, or they take that first hit or whatever, they feel this euphoria that somebody else who doesn't have that same gene might not feel. So it hits them a little bit harder. So again, like when you're a young person, when you're a teen, you don't have the impulse control. You don't have the ability to stop that impulse, or like always curb the stay away from peer pressure or whatever. And so you might try it or experiment. You also just don't know, right? Like you're 13, you're 14, you're 15, you're 16. You don't really know about the brain and how it all works. So you try that first drink or that first hit or whatever, and you're hooked from that moment on. Or typically, like, it's usually around the third use that the person becomes more hooked on the substance. And again, it's a combination of like the way the brain is wired, the way that and like your genetic predisposition and how it feels when you are high. So if you're somebody who's struggling, or somebody who's struggling with substance abuse and also with trauma, 12-step meetings, therapy are your go-tos. And just like with treating bipolar disorder, you want to first get stabilized, so that means off of the substances, before getting into that trauma, because you're going to have to learn new skills on how to cope, how to alleviate pain, again, how to expand that window of tolerance so that you can tolerate the discomfort, and replace those maladaptive coping strategies that you've been using or been masking with the substances with more healthier dynamics that will help you, or for the person, help you live a better, happier, healthier quality of life. So I finally did a quick video. Substance abuse is really not my purview. I don't treat substance abuse at all. So that's probably why this video is so short, but I know that a lot of people struggle with substance abuse issues, especially with the rise of medical marijuana. And I know that, cannabis definitely has its benefits in terms of alleviating pain and, with the treatment of like seizures and things like that. But the truth of the matter is most folks use it to alleviate their symptoms of anxiety, or to just feel better. But really they're masking some of the other issues that are coming, that are really underplay, that are really underneath. So all you're doing is just trying to, alleviate the pain, alleviate your discomfort by using medical marijuana or recreational marijuana or whatever substance that you're using. You're using it because you want to feel better, in whatever capacity that means. And you can be addicted to marijuana. Just try getting off. If you start to feel depressed, that's a sign that you are addicted to marijuana. And yes, it exists. And there's treatment, there's MA, there's therapy, there's so many other things that you can do to treat your mental health, to take care of your mental health. That doesn't include smoking marijuana, smoking crack. Like, substances do not need to be a part of your day-to-day life. And again, not everybody who drinks, not everyone who smokes marijuana, not everybody who even does meth is necessarily an addict. But again, you need to look at the etiology. You need to look at what's underneath. What's driving your behavior? What's causing you to reach for that substance as opposed to doing something else? Like if I'm feeling depressed, or I'm anxious, what's going to cause me to reach out for that marijuana as opposed to like calling up a friend and being like, hey, I'm having a hard time right now. Let's go grab coffee. Or can you come over? Let's play a board game. Right? So like what is behind the behavior? Both of these activate, right? The reward center of the brain. Being socially supported and loved activates the reward center of the brain. It's the most primitive one. It's why relationships are so powerful, and that's what the attachment relationship draws upon that reward mechanism. So you can get the reward system activated by being in an emotionally stable and healthy, with emotionally stable and healthy relational dynamics, or you can get it from a substance, right? So which one is causing you to go for A over here as opposed to B over there? What's driving your behavior? You got to look at what's underneath. So that's all I have for you today. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video, and I will see you in the next one.